Enemy unit sighted ahead.
Requesting permission to engage. Permission granted.
Hey all, and welcome to another video on Nier Automata. Today's discussion is something that I only clicked onto at a sort of later point into playing this game, and it's easy mode. The easy mode for Nier is a little bit different than other games because it includes a set of auto chips. So obviously you're playing the cyborg robot and you have various chip selections that you can make, and these affect your sort of defense, attack, things like that later on in the game, and allow you to customize your character a little bit in the way they fight and their combat. But on the easier difficulty, and I only noticed this playing on normal, because you do still get the chips there but you can't enable them. But when you go across the easier difficulty, you have the ability to enable auto attack, auto evade, auto shoot. And I had a thought of, what the fuck are these doing here? You know, this is a sort of game where you are pitted up against it, you should be fighting and getting through it. But the more I thought about what these chips actually were for, the more I came to realise that this is a great piece of accessibility within the game, and I think the game should be heralded for it, though it is not perfect. I took it to its logical conclusion with these chips. I saw them and thought, I'm going to have a little game to go through the tutorial area or the beginning area to see how they affect gameplay and what you can sort of do with them. And I thought, in what situation is it going to be the most difficult to play a game? When would you need it to be the easiest? And taking it to one very much extreme and something that probably is very difficult for some gamers or people who want to play games and enjoy these experiences would be it would be disabilities. And the one that I did was I played it one-handed, played through the tutorial just to see sort of how much did the easy mode cater for people, and how much did it allow people to play in this, you know, extreme way. So basically the chips, going through them individually, and I might miss one here also, but the ones that were very much prominent as I played were the auto attack, and this basically meant as you moved towards people, you didn't have to click a button to attack any further, you would just automatically attack. The attacks stop when there's no enemies around, and when there's more enemies around you carry on attacking. You then have the auto shoot, which I think is less important, but again, so if you imagine a Xbox 360 controller, which is what I'm playing on, your attack buttons X and Y, and your shoot buttons are B. Now they're going to be very hard to reach if you only had ability or use of one arm. So all of those on those buttons, fantastic. And also you had an auto evade, which meant you know, in this game, to get out of the way of people, you press RT and you dodge, and if you time it right you'll get a powerful attack in. It's also the run button as well, but that's a point I'll make in a second. So this allowed me to play through the entire beginning section one-handed, but there was some sort of clawing over to reach a few buttons occasionally, such as the B button, which is pick up items. There's no auto pickup. I think there might be an auto pickup later on in the game, but I've not managed to see anything concrete on that.
I'm glad you're here.
The other thing I noticed was to run, with it being on RT, I had to sort of lift the controller up and press it down on my leg to activate the run button. It's not a hold down, it's just a press to go. So they were a little tricky to do, but it was possible. It's not like playing the game on normal with one hand. It would have been literally impossible to do that, or very, very difficult. When I say literally impossible, yeah, I've seen people one-handedly complete Super Mario 64, so I know it is possible, but it takes an enormous amount of dexterity and makes the game much more frustrating. And I think in a game like Nier, which to me so far has proven to be very much experiential, and the actual mechanics of the combat are very satisfying, but I'd say they're not as much of the depth of the game, and I'm only about 6 hours in, so this could very much change. And as I say, some of the combat encounters, yeah, there is some depth to it, but I think a lot of the game for me so far has been story and what's happening and what's going on in this like really fucked up and weird world, and the fact that someone else could perhaps see that and play through that in a different situation where they wouldn't normally be able to, I think is something that's worth praising the game for. Now, one other thing I want to talk about is actually put it on this easy mode, it did make it extremely easy. Like, not just that I could finish it with one hand, but there weren't very many decisions on my part about the combat encounters. So there weren't decisions to dodge, there weren't decisions to, you know, use certain attacks or get out of the way of certain things. I took damage twice, to be fair, so there is still some risk to playing like this, but it's not as risky as playing the normal game as you might think. But again, it does allow you to change which chip you have on. So if you do want to play, you know, just on easy but without any of the auto chips activated, you can do, or you can activate the auto chips that you want. So if you are in situations, because you can attack while shooting in this game through your pod, and if you're in situations where you're in a bullet hell situation, there's lots of attacks coming your way, but you don't want to have to hold down or B, aim that and attack enemies all at the same time, you could have auto shoot on, which will direct towards the things it needs to. As you do the normal attacks. If you find you're getting hit over and over again, you know, the auto evade might be useful. Even the auto attack, and if you want to concentrate on the evading, you can sort of cater it to your own personal playstyle, which I think the ability to pick difficulty within a game is great, and I think there's very few games that you could look at and say actually the difficulty is part of the experience of this game, and it wouldn't be. I think there are arguments to say that some games would be lessened if you lessened the difficulty, but I do think that's very few and far between. I do think having something that caters for more people is better, because I think it comes down to sort of modding and playing PC games. I know a lot of people don't like sort of inventory systems and weight systems within games, and if the ability to mod them out can get rid of something that's very frustrating and actually mechanically isn't really adding to the game in many areas unless you're doing serious roleplay, which if you are, then you will probably mod it in a different direction, where say in a Fallout game ammunition has weight, or bottle caps have weight, or the weight is actually increased for certain items. But then it comes down to being able to change these things. The one thing I will say is that you can't remap buttons in this game, or I haven't been able to see a way, and that does negate from it a little bit, because if I was in this true one-handed situation that I've sort of chose to put myself in for this video, then I wouldn't. There's certain buttons that were very difficult to press, and perhaps over long play sessions I could get cramping in the hand or something along those lines. But with being able to change the buttons very simply, and change the buttons on the left hand side, so say dodge was on LT, fire was on that, LB, or attack was on that, or pickup was on that, then I could have a greater amount of inputs into the game without having to cramp my hand. But I could also play the game on a higher difficulty that wouldn't be limiting to me, so I would be able to have the dodge on my one controller hand, which again, just be able to customise those small things I think is something well worth praising in this game. And with this game, you know, coming out as this sort of character action game, which usually are quite high skill based, having this option to play like this, I think is fantastic, and more games should do it definitely, and it should be something that's looked at and praised on in every game where it comes out. And you know, if we keep doing it and going in that direction and keep praising things like this, then developers will listen and put them in. I suppose there's one other game that I want to talk about that I know did something along these lines. It was patched in a later date, and that was Dishonored 2, and I'll probably come around to that game a bit later on, because I've never actually fully finished it. But I know that with it being a stealth game, you can actually pick how much guards detect you and things like that, and again, it just allows you to play the game that you want to play and get the experience you want. And I think for a lot of us who've been playing games for many years, you can sort of, you know how to tailor the game experience to yourself without kidding yourself. It's no longer showboating or glorifying the fact that you completed a game on the playground, and you're not going to go to your mate, hey, look at my save game file, oh, I did that on hard or whatever. It's now, okay, I want to get the maximum amount of experience and enjoyment out of this game, and how am I going to do that? Is it going to be by tailoring it to what caters for me? And I think games should do that. Anyway, that's going to be enough for this video. Peace out.